Welcome. This is Lizzie Brooks Yoga and Fitness, and I'm Lizzie Brooks. Thank you so much for showing up. Today's class is a 1-hour dynamic flow. So as always, I will offer modifications so you can go down a level or up a level depending on what you need in the moment. And I would recommend having a blanket or towel, and then of course blocks or a chair or anything like that that you often like to put into your yoga practice. You can incorporate it here. So come on and join me on your mat. Welcome. So I'd like to start with a little centering, and if you really do like the centering and when I do a reading and things like that, check out my live classes in the menu bar and see if that's an option for you, because those are all 1 hour and they do have a reading and a longer centering and Savasana. So let's go ahead and come into a comfortable seat. If you would rather come into a lying down position, absolutely just lay down and center there. One is not better than the other. So wherever you're comfortable, and hands can be on the legs if you're seated, or wherever you need them if you're laying down. Soften at the bridge of the nose. Gently elongate the back of the back of the neck, and soften the throat. Deep breath in. Take a sigh out. Now breathe through the nasal passages with as much ease as you can find. Soften all the little muscle fibers that surround the eyes. Release any tension in the jaw. And just be a body being breathed. Maybe the word that you bring to mind could be the word allow. Just allow the body to do what it naturally does. Let the rib cage move, the diaphragm, the belly. And bring your hands together to your heart. If you're lying down, you can place them one over the other at your heart center. And set your intention for this practice. Whatever it is that you'd like to open yourself towards, let it be easily attainable. Maybe the word is still allow. Maybe the word is calm or forgiveness or relaxation or whatever it is, self-love. Let that come to your heart and your mind's eye. And we're going to bring our breaths into roughly a 4 to 5 count inhale and a 4 to 5 count exhale. So this has been shown scientifically to be optimal, especially in that 5 range, to allow our inner systems to work the most efficiently when you're bringing that slowly in and slowly out. Don't go to the point of anxiety. If it's too much, if it's too long, then you can shorten it, of course. And from here, take a full inhale, sigh out, and you can Om with me or not. Inhale. If you're seated, bow the head to the heart. If you're lying down, make your way to seated. And if your head is bowed, take the head up over the shoulders slowly. And everybody shake off any clutter. Let those pots and pans just clamber down. Let them release from our body. All right. From here, hands to the legs. If you were laying down, come to seated with us. Roll the shoulders back, lift the heart. Exhale, round the spine, drape the head. Inhale, reversing, open the chest. Exhale, open under the shoulder blades. One more time. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, come all the way to nice and tall and reach the arms up. Exhale, draw the shoulder blades gently away from the ears, and we're just gonna start to imagine there's a rope above us, and we're going to reach and hold on to that rope. Now, what we're trying to do here is to bring some pulling into our day. So in yoga, we do a good amount of pushing, but we don't pull. And a pull action has been proven to be really good for the body and strength. So as you do this, you can go as far to the sides as you want, and you're gonna pull down, and we'll get into the lats a little bit more, the shoulders, biceps, really pull as if there's a force, right? All right, and then from here, reach the arms up and exhale, float them down. Come into a child's pose position. If you want to pad your knees at any point in this practice, use your blanket or your towel. Take a deep inhale, full exhale. Inhale, rise to all fours. Tuck your toes, exhale into your first downward dog with no expectation of touching your heels down. Let the expectation be to get a stretch, to bend alternately the knees, press the heels a little closer down and open that back body. Maybe sway the hips side to side. Slow initiation here. The body appreciates a nice slow initiation. All right, so we're gonna be dynamic today, and again, modify and rest as needed. From here, walk your hands back to your feet. You might have to bend your knees for that. Inhale, rise halfway up. Knees can be bent or legs straight, shoulders on the back. Exhale, fold. Do that one more time. Inhale, rise halfway up. This time as you fold, you'll walk forward into plank. You'll kind of fold down and the rest of it's a plank. Inhale here. Exhale, downward facing dog. Soften the neck, shake it out. Inhale. Bend the knees any amount. Exhale, walk back into your fold. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, rise halfway up. You guessed it, exhale, walk into plank. Inhale in plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale here. Exhale, walk the hands back to the feet. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, fold. Now swish and sway side to side. And from here, bring your hands to your waist, bend the knees any amount, loop the shoulder blades onto your back, press into the floor, and come all the way up to stand, and shake out the arms. Okay. So we're gonna come into a chair pose here. And what I want you to do is feel the difference between these two chair poses. So hinge at your hips, come into your chair, root the big toe, ball joint, pinky toe, and center of your heels. Okay, now bring your hands to your heart and just see how this feels for a moment. Okay, now press as hard as you can down into the floor. As hard as you can. Did you feel what happened? Okay, now don't press that hard. Come to your regular chair. Feels easier, doesn't it? Okay, now press as hard as you can. Activate, activate. Get that blood flow going. Really press. And now come into your classic chair. If you ever think chair is hard, you know that it's actually easier than when you're pressing. All right, from here, we're gonna press the arms back to open the chest as we straighten the legs. Now exhale, come into chair, reach the palms forward at shoulder height and go in a little deeper into your chair. Inhale, press back, standing. Exhale, chair, arms forward. Inhale, now option to lift the heels. Exhale, leaning more forward, chair. One more time, optional lift of the heels. Exhale, chair. Now from here, so it's chair, but the torso is more forward. Take the elbows and start to draw, palms are facing down, the arms forward and back. So we're really bringing back body into this, quads, glutes, all of it, creating some heat. And now pull, use your pull like we did before. Reach forward and then pull back into the back body work and lats. Sometimes in yoga we don't get into the back quite as much in this way other than doing back bends. Here's another way to get into the back. Really with that dynamic movement. Pull back. Reach the arms forward. Straighten the legs. Press the palms back. And shake that all out. Okay, take a walk to the top of your mat. Catch your breath. I know that we're moving the body in new ways, which is so helpful for the brain and the body. Bring your hands to your heart. Feet are however far apart feels good for you. We'll take our first full vinyasa now. Inhale, reach forward or to the sides. Exhale, bend the knees any amount as you fold. Inhale, that same Ardha Uttanasana as before. Exhale, fold. If you need to stay in the fold today, stay in the fold. If you're ready to come to a plank or a knees down plank, add that on or directly to child's pose or downward dog. Rock your heels forward, chaturanga or all the way to the floor. Take your back bend of choice. I would recommend starting with your baby cobra. And exhale, you can go to child's pose first or modified child's, and then to down dog or directly to downward dog. Whichever option you chose, please join us in downward facing dog. Deep breath in through the nose, sigh it out through the mouth. And now, see if you can take all of the breaths through the nose. From here, we'll look forward and take our feet there. That might be a hop or a walk or a few steps. Inhale, rise halfway up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, arms forward to the sides or even at the hips, come up. Exhale, hands through to your heart. Okay, so we're gonna shift our weight over into the left foot and let the right knee bend. We'll catch that right leg either behind the thigh or in front of the knee, so you choose. Now, we're gonna take the left hand to the waist and externally rotate and take our right knee, I'm gonna show you from the front out to the side, okay? So from here out to the side, and pause for your balance. Maybe the other arm comes up and out into kind of a wide half V shape. Breathe here. Externally rotating that hip. Bring that hand back to the waist if it was up. Draw the right knee forward. And then slower than you want to go, reach your arms forward. Begin to bend the standing leg more. Extend your right leg, find the floor softly, and rise up into your high lunge. Now, if it didn't go too gracefully, don't worry about it. Widen your stance. Okay, now we're going to use those pulls from before. So turn your palms forward. Find a little grip and then pull back like you're holding on to two something or others and you're pulling them down. You can do this with a taller, straighter spine, or you can actually lift the sternum and incorporate more of a back bend and maybe more of an opening in the front of the right hip. What I don't want you to do is lead with the chin, okay? So find the back bend. One more time, pull back. Then reach the arms back and either hands to the waist or interlace them. Roll the shoulders back and open the chest. Same thing, straighter spine or maybe a little bit more of a sternum lift. Breathing. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, hands come down to the floor. Come back into plank to downward dog or child's, or take a vinyasa of your choice. Now, I have a vinyasa video tutorial, so if you're newer to vinyasas and chaturangas, I highly recommend that you watch that in the yoga section. Deep breath in, big sigh out. Look to the top of your mat, find your feet there. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Ardha just means half. Exhale, fold. Choose how you want to rise and come all the way up. I'm reaching forward just because I'll hit the wall if I take my arms to the side. Exhale, bring your hands to your heart. Deep breath in and let it go. And forward or to the sides, they're both totally great. I just prefer to go to the sides if the wall wasn't there. All right, so let's find our balance. Shift our weight over into that right foot. Just make sure you feel kind of nice and structurally sound there. Put a little buoyancy in that right knee. Let the left knee come in. You can interlace behind or in front. And this might be where you stay. If you feel okay to externally rotate that left knee, right hand to the waist, feel free, or right arm up, or even hold on to a wall if you need. Breathing here in your balance. Balance and hip opener. Draw the knee back through. And then we'll reach the chest more forward, arms more forward, bend your standing leg. I can't say that enough. Bend the standing leg, get closer to the floor, left toes land, reach up, widen your stance if needed, and breathe here. All right, turn the palms forward and pull down as the sternum lifts any amount. Reach up and pull back. You must want to kind of like feel like you're flexing your muscles there to get into the lats and the biceps and shoulders. And pull back. As many times as you need, which means you could go slower or faster in that lift. One more time, pull. Then reach the arms back, hands to the waist, or interlace the opposite finger on top than before. Yes, it will feel weird. Shoulders roll back and lift the sternum any amount. You don't have to bind the hands here. Remember, the hands could be at the waist. Inhale, let the arms float up. Exhale, bring the hands down. Step back, plank or downward dog or child. Maybe you're moving through another vinyasa. You can always just skip all the vinyasas in these classes. They're not necessary. Deep breath in and sigh out. Walk your left foot in about an inch or two to the right. Let the right leg lift. Hug the right knee up and in, forehead to knee, and then reach back, three-limb dog. Exhale, forehead to knee, even lift the ankle high to the sitting bone of that right knee. Inhale, reach out. One more time, hug in, and then we're going to keep the right hand down. Hug in. And now we're going to step that right foot forward into a lunge and circle the left heel down. Nope. Three-limb dog, and put the right foot down. Let's do that on the left side. Left leg reaches, hug it up and in, lift, lift, lift. Reach it back and hug it in. One more time, reach it back and hug it in. Reach it back, three-limb dog, and left foot comes down. Take your feet wider than hips distance apart. Press your hips over to the right, and then press your hips over to the left. Come back through center, classic footing in your downward facing dog. Look forward and step or hop your feet there. Inhale, rise halfway up. Exhale, fold. Choose how you'd like to rise and come all the way up to stand. And exhale, hands through to your heart. Deep breath in. And sigh it out, shake it out. Okay, so widen your feet underneath you, wider than hips distance apart. Bend into one knee, and then bend into the other knee. Just preparing, getting a little stretch here. Do that side to side a little bit more. And then we'll bring in a twist aspect. So bend into one knee, maybe it's your left knee here. And from here, you're gonna cross your right hand to the outside of the left knee and take a twist. Your right hand, excuse me, I'm mirroring you guys. Bend into your knee. Cross your right hand to the left knee, left hand on the waist, twist. You can reach the back arm behind you and twist here. You can even take your tricep to the outside of the knee and take your twist here. So breathing here, this might be a new pose for some of us. It's a lot on the legs too. And then slowly straighten up, unwind, bend into the other knee. You're going to bend there and then cross the opposite hand, hold on to the knee or the outside of it, other hand on your waist, and take your twist. Maybe reaching that arm, the back arm behind you. Possibly taking the tricep to the outside of the knee. Maybe you're in prayer pose here or fist with one hand flat and taking your twist there. Put life into both feet and then slowly unwind and come back to center and wiggle it out a little bit here. Walk the feet in underneath you. And from here, we'll go ahead and lift those heels again. Hug into the midline. Feet can be together or not. I kind of like them when the ball joints are at least touching. And then from here, heels down or not, arms forward, knees bend. Press back. Bend the knees, arms forward, knees bend. Straighten up and press back. One more time, maybe on the tiptoes, maybe not. Pressing the knees bent, arms forward, and then press back and come into standing and shake it out there. Okay, so for this, I'm going to talk about a little bit more coming to the side and bringing in a little more dynamic movement with some upper body strength. So only do what works, and you can always just take a look if it's a little confusing. So come into a downward dog, everybody. So we're gonna use that reaching back. I'm gonna call this my left leg. So go ahead and reach your left leg back. Okay, we're gonna use what we used before when we came into the center in the hanging plank, but we're gonna cross underneath us. So from here, come into your hanging plank, left knee in. Now keep the left hand down, take the back heel down towards the floor on that right foot, and then reach either the outside of your lower leg onto the side of the foot, down on the floor, or kicking it forward. Top arm up, breathing here. You can always lower the bottom knee right onto the floor and hang out there. And then slowly, carefully come back, bend the knee, lower the right hand, take the left leg up. Now stack the left hip on top of the right and bend the right knee. Some of us are gonna stay exactly there, okay? Some of us are going to come into a wild thing where we allow that foot to come over to the floor, and maybe we're in a side plank variation, or you can even come into both knees and toes pointed away from you, reaching up or any amount back, okay? Careful on the shoulders. Top arm up, we're gonna come back how we came. Come into that wild thing, kind of supported side plank, then take the left hand down and the left leg up, and lower the foot down and come into your downward facing dog. As you're ready, we'll go to the other side, reaching the right leg up. Use your hanging core plank, hug it up and in. From here, keeping the right hand down, circle the left heel down and kick the right leg forward to the side of the foot or knee down. Really lift the lower hip. So if it's hanging, lift the lower hip. And we'll come back the way we came, bending the lower knee, left hand down, rotate the right heel up, and left heel up, and then right leg. Now stacking your right hip on top of the left. Breathing here. Stay there, or wild thing, taking that foot behind you with the knee bent, coming into a supported side plank, or rotating the toes to point away from you, knees to point away, reaching up here, or opening and reaching the palm facing down and back. We'll come back the same way we came, lifting that top arm up, come into that side plank variation, take the right hand down, and slowly press the right leg up, and you'll come into your downward facing dog. Pedal it out here. Vinyasa or not, if your wrists are tuckered out, I recommend taking a break or maybe doing a less challenging variation of your vinyasa. So for me, I'm gonna come into this modified child's pose and roll out my wrists a little bit here instead of holding, longer in my plank or chaturanga. Deep breath comes in and sigh that out. Downward facing dog. Look forward, step or hop to the top of your mat. Inhale, rise halfway up. Exhale, fold. Choose how you want to rise. You always get the choice, and come all the way up and bring your hands back to your heart. Deep breath in and shake off the clutter. Okay, so we worked on this pose earlier where we did external rotation and held our balance. This time we're gonna take the knee forward or take the foot forward, depending on what you need. Shift your weight over into your left foot. Draw the right knee. Actually, let's do the side you did first. Shift your way over into your right foot, draw the left knee in. Now, you can stay here and hold on, or bring your hands to your heart for a little more challenge, or you can reach down with one or both hands to the outside of the foot, big toe, or both hands to the foot as you reach the legs forward. Not legs, leg. Breathing here. Elongate your waistline a little bit. And then we're going to use the same transition as before. So bend the knee in if it wasn't. Lean, hinge forward, pitch forward. Bend your standing leg. And then we'll come into that high lunge again, landing as softly as we can, widening our stance when we get there. This time going into a twist. Do not take your torso forward yet. Keep your torso nice and high. And then from here, twist towards that front knee. So you're taking your front arm forward. So for me, twisting towards that right knee, left arm forward, right arm back. Breathing here. If you're on the other side, just as long as you're twisting towards your front knee, that's all that matters. Now you can stay here or lean forward like you did in that other optional twist. Take the tricep to the outside of the knee and come into your twist here. If you're one of those people who love to take binds and you can easily bind here and it doesn't bother your shoulders, do that. Okay, whatever works. Wake up that back leg. Very carefully unwind, place your hands to the floor, come back into plank pose. From here, you're going to draw the right knee underneath you, cross it under. Your legs will be crossed. The left knee is going to come up to your heart and cross under. Right knee to heart, cross under. Left knee to heart, cross under. Right knee to heart, cross under. Left knee to heart, cross under. And then take your feet into your classic downward dog positioning and press back into that down dog. Deep breath in. Sigh it out. Look to the top of the mat and take your feet there. Because we're doing something dynamic, we're skipping a vinyasa here. Inhale, rise halfway up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise up to stand. And then Samastitihi, and can I get my hair out of my face? I don't know, that's the question. Deep breath in. Let it go. Okay, so we're gonna do the other side. Whichever leg you didn't have forward, remember you can have the knee bent or the leg straight, completely up to you. So for me, I'm shifting over into my left foot, drawing my right knee in. This is already a balance, but if I want to make it a little harder, I'll bring my hands to my heart. If I want to stretch a little bit forward with the hamstrings, I'll do this, or again, hold on to the foot with both hands. Completely up to you. Other hand can be at the waist or up. Elongate both waistlines. Bend into that front knee if it wasn't. Hinge forward. You're counterbalancing the weight of the leg going back by leaning a little more forward. Reach, bend your standing leg. Find that nice transition. Widen out your stance here. Inhale and exhale. Again, you're twisting towards the front knee. So if reaching back with your back arm doesn't work, just put the hand on the waist. You don't have to reach back here. But if you are reaching, roll the shoulders on the shoulder blades onto the back. Lift that heart high to feed into the back leg, the front of the back leg's hip. Okay, you can stay here or lean forward, tricep to outside of the knee, prayer pose or stacking. Wake up the back leg. I had to remind myself to do that. And then if you easily take binds and that's part of your practice, you can. I'm not going over that today, and I don't want you to start to do it today if it's not part of your practice, please. That's a real one where the shoulders can get hurt. Look down at the floor, hands down. Step back into your plank pose. And then from here, we're going to tap a button with our right foot, with the right toes over to the left side of the mat and come back into plank. We're gonna tap a button with our toes to the right side of the mat with our left toes. Back and forth, we're gonna tap a button. Now maybe the button's really close towards the feet. Maybe that button is way to the side of the hands. So the further forward it is, kind of the tougher it seems and gets a little more into those obliques. and the more heat is created. But we're creating heat no matter where that button goes. One more each side. Ooh, core work, downward facing dog. Maybe this is a beautiful place for a child's pose. Maybe you're taking a vinyasa because you're like, hey, I've been sedentary for a long time and I really need to kick it up a notch. So whatever it is, find your way through it. My main thing is that I always want you to know the why behind your choice. If you don't know why you're doing it and you're like, well, it's because the teacher did it, that's probably not the decision you want to make. So you want to make one that's based on you internally. Deep breath in and sigh out. Okay, I'm going to take a drink of water here. I'm getting a little raspy. Okay, in our downward facing dog, walk your hands back to your feet. And from here, we're going to play a little bit with what we did earlier. Bending the knees. This time, you're gonna take the feet at least hips distance apart, maybe wider. Allow the belly to come right on the thighs, okay? We're gonna do a little bit of a heel lift and a fall, okay? So we were pulling earlier, now we're pushing. So you're gonna let yourself kind of fall, hands are gonna catch you, heels are gonna lift, and then you're gonna push away from the floor, just go back into your roughly 90 degrees or a little less bend in the knees. So press, push. You're falling and pushing. Now, the arms can kind of come out to the sides, elbows to the sides, to work a little more the front of the shoulders, more like a push-up. Or you can take the elbows straight back and make that a little bit more triceps. You can do something in between. The more you bend your elbows, the harder this will be. 2 and 1. Okay, now slower than you want to go. Come all the way up. This is a very strength building sequence. So make sure you've got your breath. Shake that all out. Okay, turn and go wide on your mat. Bring your hands to your waist and connect to your breathing. So when we started, we softened at the bridge of the nose and we found that breath that was 4 or 5 counts. You are working so much more cardiovascularly, so you won't be able to calm the breath down to that level, but do just attempt to slow it down just a bit. Okay. From here, we'll go into goddess squat. External rotation, which we haven't really been that focused on since our balance. So take yourself into a pelvis lowering position where the knees and the second toe are basically pointing the same direction. You can be nice and high up or a little bit lower, but make sure that the pelvis is not lower than the knees. Bring your hands to your heart. All right, now we're gonna take an invisible ball and we're gonna hold on to it below us, right here. And now we're going to reach it as far to the side and as far up and as far to the other side and down as we can. Not easy. Okay, we're gonna take that the opposite direction. Slowly diagonally and to the side, diagonally to up, other side, and all the way down. Now take that ball above you and hug into it. So it's if you're holding a basketball or something and you're hugging in, holding onto it. And then slowly straighten the legs. Nice work. I know it was nice work. Turn the heels back and exhale, fold. You can let that ball go. The height of your fold is really dependent on what feels best in your spine and your hamstrings. Your hands might be on a block or blocks, maybe on a chair, palms could be down or fingertips. And if it's easy enough and it doesn't feel bad behind the knees or in the low back, you can draw yourself into more of a forward fold here. The elbows can bend roughly 90 degrees, and this time not taking them so much out to the sides, but more so straight back. Breathing here. The head does not have to come down. It can come to a block if you're close or even a blanket. The goal is to not put the head on the ground, right? That might happen for some of us. The goal is to stretch the spine and the hamstrings. And then we'll walk over to the right side and fold in and breathe. Give some love to that leg. And we'll walk over to the other side and breathe there. Lots of love to this leg. That does so much for us. And then walk back through center and heel toe in, or you can even hop in, okay? And we'll come down onto seated. Now, if you're using a blanket beneath you, make sure it's opened so it's not on a skinny platform, but it's open wider, because we're gonna have an option to lean back a little bit, okay? So Baddha Konasana, bring the soles of the feet together. The feet can be much further forward or close in. It depends on where do you need this stretch. If you need it more in the groin, take the feet a little closer. If you need it more in the outer hips, take the feet a little further away. And we're not gonna go for this prying of the legs open, but rather into some softening and just that sensation and that ritual of arrival. All right, so from here, and actually I'll show you from this side so you can see what we're gonna incorporate some back muscle here. We're kind of more in the lats, and now we'll bring more paraspinal in. So from here, you might stay exactly here. And this might be exactly where you need to be. If you want to bring a little bit more core and balance in, you can hold onto your feet or your ankles, lean back, roll the shoulders back, and balance here. So it's a balancing Baddha Konasana, okay? This can also be done with the feet all the way together and the feet further away from the groin, balancing Baddha Konasana. I'm not rounding here. I'm waking up behind the shoulder blades and those paraspinal muscles here, breathing. If you have the ability to find the big toes or the outer feet and open the legs, and that's more your style today, feel free. The main thing is what we're trying to find is that work in the back and the balance, seated balance. 3, 2, 1, and go ahead and cross the legs and come to a comfortable seated position. Inhale here and sigh out. Lean back and bring your legs forward and shake them out. Make any adjustments that are needed. Point the toes and flex the heels. Move the toes around. If I said point the toes, I meant ankles. Apparently I don't know my toes from my ankles, so I probably need to go back to anatomy class. All right. And this time, bend the left knee in. Sit up nice and tall. Again, paraspinal muscles, and we'll go for our twist. So from here, we're gonna twist like we did when we took this pose earlier, but we were in a lunge, this leg was back. We're gonna either wrap our arm around and twist towards that leg, back fingertips are on the floor, or if it's very easy for you to take the tricep to the outside of the knee, you can, okay? What I don't want you to do is try to really get it and you're kind of down here and you're forcing, okay? So I'd rather have you just hold on here. And unwind. Now take that leg that you just had and we're gonna come into a half boat with it, either bending the knee and putting the hands underneath the thigh there, or finding the foot and reaching it up. And then you have the option. So you're either here leaning back and lifting the lower foot for a balance, or you have both legs straight leaning back, and this is much harder to stay balancing. One leg in the hands, one leg reaching kind of diagonally up with that lean back. Again, you could be here in that in that bent position. And slowly come down, bring the legs forward and shake it out. So again, this is a dynamic flow, so I'm putting in this weirdo stuff that you're probably not used to, and don't expect that, oh, it's just gonna happen every time on the first try. It didn't happen for me on the first try, I promise you that. Okay, bend your other knee in. Gather yourself nice and tall, twist towards that knee, back fingertips on the floor. Only take the tricep to the outside of the knee if that just feels wonderful and you're not collapsing. You can engage the extended legs, ankle, maybe even spread the toes, opening the fascia at the arch of the foot. Unwind forward and interlace behind that knee. okay? Or find yourself hands on the foot. Knee can be straight or bent, leaning back here or not, okay? With or without the leg straight. You can even do this, right? It's a boat modification. You can even do it without holding that top foot or the top bent knee. And slowly coming back in, lean back, and shake it all out. Whew. Move your blanket or towel, if you were using it, off to the side. We don't have too much longer, but we are going to come down onto the back. And from here, bring one leg, doesn't matter, up, and one leg onto the ground. Okay, now actively bring that top leg as close to you as you can. You're gonna feel your core activate a lot. Now press your other leg down to the floor. So you're trying to split the legs, one forward and one down. Working the hips, working that deep core. All right, switch. Other leg on top, reach it towards you, and I'm not telling you to grasp it and pull it towards you. I'm saying actively activate the musculature, press it towards you as the other leg presses down and away. And then switch, first leg. Now you can stay where you were or interlace the fingers behind you. Don't splay the elbows to the sides. Draw them more forward to scoop the shoulder blades a little bit more to the sides, because when you take your elbows out to the sides, you generally lose the core a little bit. So elbows in, you can round up a little bit. And now take your leg actively towards you and yourself towards your leg. 3, 2, 1. Oh my goodness. And switch sides. Opposite leg actively towards you. It's not just straight up, it's actively towards you and you're actively towards it. 3, 2, 1. And release. Soles of the feet down. Let the belly completely go. That really worked our hip flexors as well as the low core, not just the surface core and the upper core. And bring your legs forward and shake them all out. I have a video that's all about, it's an arm balance tutorial on here. So if you want to know how to get into the core a little bit more, even if you don't want to arm balance, that's a helpful video. And soles of the feet down now. Press into the soles of the feet. And as you press down and forward with the feet, see if you can take your lumbar towards the floor by that action of pressing down and forward. This doesn't mean you always have to have your lumbar on the floor to initiate a bridge. It's just something we're doing because the way it's getting into our glutes and hamstrings and opening the front. Now from here, keep that action and let the pelvis rise. Scoot the shoulder blades underneath you. Now, we did the interlacing bind with the hands earlier in a high lunge. You can add that on. For me, that tends to hurt my right wrist a little bit. I have a trick wrist. So I like to just kind of place my hands on my belly and breathe. But whatever you do, wake up the inner thighs just a little bit so they're actually on board to help assist this pose. Soften at the bridge of the nose. Okay, now because this is a dynamic pose and because of what we just did, the work earlier, we're working towards something. So you can stay with this or come out at any time. If you want, walk your left foot over to the right a little bit, hug the right knee in, and just like you did before, bring that top leg, extend it, and bring it closer towards you and up. Ooh, yes, glutes. And take it down. Right foot over to the left a little bit more, lift the pelvis, bend the top knee up. You can keep it bent or straighten it and bring it towards your face like you were doing earlier. That was, I got it a little bit in there for you so you could practice it before this one. And bend the knee, put it back down, lift the pelvis. You might want to lift the heels and lower the pelvis down, hug in and rock side to side. Now, because you have been so wonderful to do all these weird things, I want you to pick a nice full body stretch that just feels great. Don't ask too much of yourself. Don't try to make it look perfect. There is no perfect. And then take your very favorite twist. So my very favorite twist is to hug One knee in, extend the other leg. Cross over to the midline, let that knee come down towards the floor or on the floor, maybe to a prop, and unfurl my opposite arm, palm facing up. That other arm doesn't have to go alongside of the ear or straight out to the side. It can even go in between or even making like a cactus, depending on what you need in the shoulder and the pecs. Breathing here, let the belly go. Unwind back to center and switch sides. So either you're doing this one or you're doing whichever other one is your favorite. Crossing and setting yourself up into your twist. So a lot of what we had to do in our standing poses took a lot of stabilization and core work. And so for these, I'd like you to really feel like you're just poured onto your mat and the belly can freely move and you're not trying to stabilize. It's all about balance. I don't know if you've ever heard that. You've probably heard it's all about balance. It really is. It's cliche, but it's really true. And draw back in through the center. Hug the knees in. And from here, we're going to take Gomukhasana legs. So cross the right knee on top of the left. And you can hug that in, just whatever you can reach with the knees or the shins. If you like to grab outer feet or ankles, feel free to do that, maybe rocking side to side. Play with where the knees are, where the hands are, where the movement is, and see what do you need to do to get into your glutes in the best way. Unwind and let the left knee come on top, crossing the legs, maybe taking the shins a little further away. If that's available, it might not be. Maybe the feet. For those of you with extremely open hips in this way, the more you take your ankles to your shins and make your shins parallel to the floor, probably the more sensation you will feel there. And then unwind. Bring the legs forward, bring the arms back, and again, wiggle it out. And then from here, go ahead and bring the soles of the feet back down to the mat. Soften your jaw, so you really want to check in and make sure that you are nice and soft there. Okay, now we're just going to turn onto our bellies just for a really sweet and natural Sphinx pose. So we're not going for a big back bend. What we're going for is more of a restorative kind of held posture here. So take the elbows either under the shoulders or a little bit more forward, palms down. Take your feet wide and breathe here. Shoulder blades come onto the back and make this not completely soft. There is muscular activity, but just the right amount, just that Goldilocks amount of activity that keeps you in the posture, keeps you from collapsing, but you're not hardened and rigid. Breathe here. And then we'll transition into a child's pose. So walking the knees up and coming into a child's pose. Rising up into a less close to the ground child's pose. Widen your knees a bit, toes touch. Take one hand kind of into the center of your mat. Take the other hand to your waist. Grow long out of the pelvis on an inhale, and as you exhale, twist to the side that your hand is on the waist. Maybe stay there or reach back or up. You can even turn now the blade edge of your pinky finger onto the side, and now you might even slide down here. You can reach back or up or keep the hand on the waist and let this be more of a lateral reach. Because of the pulls that we did earlier, we want to stretch out through the lats. This is the way to do that. And then slowly unwind. Other hand to the center of the mat. And then you'll go ahead and take the other hand to the waist, take your twist. You might stay right here. You could reach back. Maybe you'll turn the blade edge of your hand, so the pinky side of your hand down, and come into a stretch there. I do recommend that if you're really close to the ground, that the top hand goes on your waist and you really focus on the lower side. Breathing here. Slowly unwind, classic child's pose. And sway side to side. Getting into the groin a little bit more because we have the knees wider on this one. Rise back up and then roll back onto your back body. Hug the knees in. If you want a little more work, you can curl into a tiny little ball, lifting the head and chest. Again, you have all the options. The head and chest can stay down, of course. And then lower the head and chest if it was up. Soles of the feet down. Bring the legs forward. And another full body stretch. Wiggle, open the hip flexors. And then we are set up here for a meditation. So this meditation can be done, and also pranayama. So this can be done on your back, in a chair, seated, sitting on the floor, whatever feels best to you. We're gonna add elements of meditation and also breath work. So the breathing that we'll do today is alternate nostril breathing, Nadi Shodhana. If you're really stuffed up, and you should still try it if you're stuffed up because it can be helpful to unstuff, but if you're not getting enough air, just do Samavriti, which is even inhalation, even exhalation, similar to, well, the same thing as what we did at the beginning of class. And if you want to skip the pranayama and go straight to Savasana, you absolutely can. So from here, first you'll just find your center. Get a little bit closer to the depth of you rather than the surface. When we do this alternate nostril breathing, you use one hand so I generally use, and I'm not gonna mirror you guys, my right hand, close off the right nasal passage, and then I use my ring finger to close off the other nostril. I could use my pinky finger or my pointer finger. It's really up to what feels best in your hand. So closing off the right nostril, slowly inhale through the left. Close the left one, exhale through the right. In through the right. Close, exhale through the left, and that will be one round. Soften the shoulders. Inhale left. Close it, exhale right. Inhale right. Close, exhale left. Slowing down, inhale left. Exhale right. Inhale right. And exhale left. Bring the hands to the legs and find even inhale, even exhale. If it feels better to have a slightly longer exhalation, that can help with relaxation. So alternate nostril breathing is said to help with creativity. It's helped to calm down the nervous system. It's supposed to help balance the left and right hemispheres of the brain, help with stuffiness, many, many things. If it didn't work today, don't worry about it. Inhale completely and sigh out. All right, if you haven't been doing your breath work on the back, we'll go ahead and come on to the back for Shavasana. One note about that, if you like to use a bolster or a rolled up towel or blanket or a few under your knees, that can make the lumbar spine feel a little more accepting of this posture. But if it still doesn't feel good, even with that, you can bend your knees with your feet on the floor, or even get a chair and put your calves on the chair, or even find a wall and put your heels on the wall. And that's even helpful for varicose veins and blood flow and relaxation. So now we'll bring a little bit more of the meditation through. And I'd like you to think of a color that makes you feel really calm. And if white is that, it's fine. It doesn't have to be, a color or anything like that. It can be pure white light. But find that in your mind's eye. And now imagine that on the inhale, you are filling your body up from head to toe with that color. And on the exhale, the color empties out. And as you inhale and fill with that color, you are meeting every cell of yourself. And as you exhale, you're just letting whatever you need grasp onto that color. Anything that needs to be released holds on to the color, takes a ride, and leaves out. So any waste, any negative thoughts, they kind of magnetize to the color, and the exhale draws them out. The inhale brings in fresh new color, absorbs what needs to leave, and exhale washes out. So continue with that breath and that meditation. If there's a particular area, maybe even emotionally around the heart, or something a little tougher in the mind that the breath needs to go and that color needs to saturate a little bit more, let that happen. Sometimes we need a few washes through to cleanse out. If the color ever needs to change, let it change. A lot of times, we just have to then make a decision to release the things that are burdening us. And a lot of that is just those things that we self-inflict, those negative words, negative phrases, the self-doubt, the criticism. So make a choice to let those get absorbed by the color and washed out, leaving you cleaner and more healthy and lighter of the burden, right? And you can stay with that as long as you'd like, but I'm not going to keep instructing it, so it would be on your own. And we'll head towards our Savasana here. Allowing yourself to enjoy the more quiet space. Get rid of any fight in your body and in your mind to quiet, and just let that happen. And rest. Go a little bit deeper. Connect to your breathing and find any gentle movement that feels good. Take your time as you maybe draw your knees into your chest again. Maybe there's a hip stretch or a little posture, maybe a modified happy baby pose. Maybe the knees are in your hands or the ankles or the feet. And take your time, not in a hurry, to come all the way up, maybe rolling to the side and pressing up to seated. I do recommend that you place your blanket underneath you if you use it, or your towel. And sit nice and tall, all the neutral curves of your spine intact. Let your heart be buoyant. Let your heart and your mind communicate. Bring back the word and the color that you chose today. If you forgot your word, make a new word. Marinate with those for just a couple more breaths. And just notice how you feel connecting with that word and that color, and how you feel after you've taken all of this time for movement and breath. Bringing your hands together to the heart center. The light of my heart honors the light of your hearts. Namaste, everyone.